what we're looking at the Amplified Bible, and I'm just adjusting the brightness to make sure it shows up well. We're on the second Bible that we're looking at. The first was the New American Standard Bible. If you haven't seen that one yet, I will put that in the description or at the end of the video for you. So let's just dig into the Amplified. Forgive my background. This is my crafting background. Oh, I've got that brightness way high, don't I? Let's see if it does the same thing when I open it. Yeah. Okay. So when you open the front of this Amplified that I have is um, has the Holy Bible on the spine, the Amplified Bible, AMP with their symbol, and it's by Zondervan. It does have markings for hubs, but it does not have hubs on this one. I have yet to get a premium Bible in my collection. I do plan on doing that, but I have not done that as of yet. So let's flip over here, and the first page you see is the title page, and my version is in large print. As you'll see, most of my Bibles are in large print um, because I really do not like the fatigue from my eyes when I read for a very long time. So again, a title page showing Zondervan as the printer of this one. And this copyright was 2015 by the Lockman Foundation. Something to note is that the amplified version was actually brought into being, produced jointly by Zondervan and the Lockman Foundation. Its first publishing was in 1965. There's a foreword here and the preface. If you don't read the pages in the front of your Bible, I would recommend reading them because they can give you a lot of insight into what was meant for your Bible as far as for you for studying. This is an explanation of the general format, so it tells you about the parentheses and the amplifications that they do, and there are parentheses in bold that mean something different. Continuing on, and we have the abbreviations and special markings defined out here, which I really like that it's in the front of the Bible so that you're sure to take note of it. Forgive my fingers, I was messing with my fountain pen and squirted ink everywhere. And the next page is a note from the Lockman Foundation, and Phoebe Macaulay Lambeth, coordinating editor, wrote it. And then we get to the table of contents here. These pages are very, very thin. Um, if you notice, a lot of mine have folded back on themselves, or the addition of the tabs. I have yet to find an amplified version that has thumb tabs. So I added these thinking they would, be helpful, but if I pull by them, they will tear the paper around where the tab part itself is. So I've had to tape some of them back together. Just a note on the paper type that you end up getting, being cautious of that. Okay, and then we begin Genesis. And you can see here in Genesis that all the writing is in large print, and I will read Genesis 1 to you. But at the bottom, it is a smaller text that gives you an explanation of these. It's the footnotes in here. There are quite a bit of footnotes in this version. So, a few things that I wanted to point out to you about the Amplified version before we get into that is the version itself is mainly a revision of the American Standard Version of 1901. It takes both word meaning and context into account when when it was being written. Keywords from The Greek and Hebrew words are what they call amplified, and you'll see that that's what's in parentheses that they've notated or in the footnotes. This can be a very valuable study tool. However, something to note is that um, some some people, mainly King James only um, believers, are are adamant that this and many other of the thought for thought Bibles omit several scriptures. And they do omit, it's noted that there are about 16 scriptures that are omitted. Some of them put them in the footnotes. Um, However, the omission of these verses did not cause the loss of teachings expressed. These verses were omitted because scholars found them to have been later additions to the Bible than what the original said. Because it is coming from the American Standard Version, sometimes the wording can be a little archaic, is a complaint that people have about it. I myself really enjoy reading from it. However, I don't use it as my main study Bible because I get hung up in all of the notes. And you'll notice I only have one actual study Bible. And that's because I found that I myself, even as a child in school, would chase squirrels. Any squirrel that I could chase, I would chase it instead of doing what I was supposed to do. So I would often be looking out of the windows at school and lose my train of thought on everything. So if I get hung up in the notes, I lose my train of thought on the actual verbiage itself. So for that reason, I tend to not do study Bibles. However, there are two study Bibles I really want to get. One is the Cultural Background Study Bible, and the other one is the archaeological, archaeological study Bible. Those two I would like to get because their study notes are actually about the um, the time that they were written in. They were actually about the culture and the archaeological aspects of things that were actually during that time. So I think that would be very beneficial in understanding the people of that time better. So those are two that I will be looking at getting hopefully pretty soon, but uh, I really do want those for studying. They do not come in the amplified version. They only come in, I believe, the NIV and I think ESV. Don't quote me on that. Okay, so Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God, Elohim, created by forming from nothing the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and void, or a waste and emptiness, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, primeval ocean that covered the unformed earth. The Spirit of God was moving, hovering, brooding over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, pleasing, useful, and he affirmed and sustained it, and God separated the light, distinguishing it from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning one day. And God said, "Let there be an expanse of the sky in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters below the expanse from the waters above the expanse." And God made the expanse of sky, and separated the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse. And it was so, just as he commanded. God called the expanse of sky heaven. And there was evening, and there was morning, a second day. Then God said, "Let the waters below the heavens be gathered into one place of standing, pooling together, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas. And God saw that this was good, pleasing, useful, and he affirmed and sustained it. I'm going to stop there because it will be quite a bit of reading there. That gives you a good example of it. So we go on in the Bible and we get back to, let me find our right spot here. Get back to the New Testament. And we have a divider page, but like you can see how thin this really is. This is extremely thin paper. And then we go into Matthew and all of the books of the New Testament. Again, noting that there are footnotes throughout in the Amplified. And come all the way to the back after Revelation. And what is remaining in this particular Bible? Well, I'll get there, y'all. I'll get there. Okay, this is the last page of Revelation. And there is nothing else in the back of this, no concordance, no anything. Just a couple of extra pages for trying out your highlighters and your marking utensils. That's what I use mine for anyway. So, in conclusion, the Amplified Bible is a valuable tool and one that I think is good for everyone to try at least. You don't have to own the Bible. You can try them online, a lot of places for free. So just so you can decide for yourself whether it actually is something you would prefer or not. So that is my overview of the amplified version, and we will continue with another version in our next week's video on it. I hope this is helping you guys, and if you'll let me know if there's a certain version you're curious in, I can try and move that forward if I have it. Um, if I don't, I can at least look up the information about that version and present that to you. So, you guys have a blessed week, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really will help the channel to be seen more.